let's look at the play turn function, which is a part of the Your Own Program 21 game. And to do that, the way it's described is this. Well, we have a number of cases that could be happening, the inputs that would be put into the function, and our expected outputs. So for example, our top one here is that it's just normal. The player has 2 passes and uses 1. And so what we have is our score bringing into it is 0. The number of passes that we have is 2. We decide to utilize one of those passes. And so the function returns to us a score, which is the same, which is 0. And our passes have stepped from 2 down to 1. So if we look at that, let's look at the function. I'm going to run it here. I've got my output right here, which is score and pass, and I'm bringing into my function the player name, which is Jen in this situation. The score Jen has is 0, and she has 2 passes. So we're going to go ahead and run that. And what's going to happen is Jen is going to decide to pass in this situation. When she passes now, what we come back with is the pass is 1, and the score is still 0. If I look at my next situation, my normal player has Jen, has 2 passes and decides to roll. And so we're bringing in 0, we're bringing in 2. We decide to roll, which is my input, and it's going to return back the value and the number of passes that are had. So I'm going to just click up to select that. I'm going to set that to 2, and let's go. In this situation, when it comes back to me, it's going to say, hey, we're going to ask it to roll, right? And then it comes back, it rolls, and it accumulates the value here to that. Now there are some things that are a little different here that we need to play with a little bit. So what it's going out there and doing is it's going out there and it's finding a random value which is an integer less than 6. So we're using this rand function I, saying it's less than 6 and assigning it to a value, right? And so if I run this again right here, it's going to give me a different value. And it's going to be random in some capacity. The other thing that it's doing is it's taking a string and doing a logical comparison with that. And so I can set a string here, which is R, right? And I'm going to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to set rolling here as logical comparison as going to be true or false if player choice is R, right? So let's go ahead and run that. And so what I can see is rolling is actually 4 now, is 1 now, so that's true. If I change this to pass, right? And I run it, I can see that it's 0, and I'm in good shape. So if I continue on, let's go through the rest of the setup, right? In this situation, the player has 1 pass and uses 1, right? So I'm going to go here, I'm going to paste that in there. I've got 5 and 1. In this situation, I'm going to select that they pass, and I'm going to come back with my passes are now 0, and my score is 5, right? My last one is the player has 1 pass and decides to roll. So I'm looking at 6 and 1 in my input. So let's bring that in, right? And so in this situation, we're going to decide to roll. And what we're going to see is that we had 6 coming in as my score, and roll is my output. So my score is accumulated into 12, which is cool. My last situation that I'm going to worry about is this, is that if I bring in score and pass, and my play turn is going to be Jen, and she has 0 passes. When I run this now, let's say I decide to pass. What it does then is it rolls again for me. And so now I have the accumulated value of 5 and 6 equaling my score, which is 11. Because if I have no longer any passes, what it's going to do is when I say, hey, I want to pass, it's going to say, you can't really do that. And it's going to decide to roll for me. And so that takes care of all of our different setups here, or descriptions of cases that we can work with. It looks at the inputs that we have and sort of discusses the expected outputs for that. We also discussed how to work with that string and do a comparison with it. You might have to change that around a little bit to make it work. And we also talked a little bit about how to get a random number to appear for us. Good luck with it.